Hey, what's going on, guys? This is iPipples here, and welcome back to Bibbles Plus. So today is Good Friday, which it's really good for me because I don't have school today. So yay. But not only that, we have a very special guest with us, my grandma. Say hi to the internet.
The phone, it's a big one. Huh.
Yeah, she's talking about the phone I'm using to film, but yeah. So she's here for a bit, and the plan is that we're gonna do a interview. I think is the plan here.
Can I see that?
Yeah. So Grandma's gonna get up close and personal with you for a minute. I'm recording live, so don't hit the little white button. Don't hit the white button.
Where's the white button?
Right there. Don't tap it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
It's not white, it's red.
It's white with the red center.
Okay.
So that means we're.
Oh, I see the apple.
Yeah, the apple sign.
It's cute.
Yep. So we're gonna do an interview, and I've been talking, and I was asking questions, and it actually turned out into a legit interview. So we're gonna see how this goes. All right, so I'm gonna put the phone down like this. So yeah. So my first question. So you were born a few years before World War II started, right? Late 20s?
1928.
Yes, so she's old. Yeah. But, so you didn't serve in World War II, correct?
No.
No.
But when it started with Pearl Harbor, I was in 7th or 8th grade. I think it was probably 8th grade.
So you were just like a middle school student like me when the war started.
Yeah.
So
8, 11, 3. I would have been 13 years old, I guess. So
13 or 14. If
I was probably
8th grade would have been like 14, 15.
It was December 7th, 1941, and my birthday is always the end of
The
December.
25th, yeah, 25th, right?
So I was probably going to turn 13 then.
Grandma was born on Christmas. She's special.
Thank you.
Yeah, but so when did the rationing kick in? Like all the elements, like the safety drills, the rationing, the preparation, When did all that start?
Well, it was within the I think they started it sometime in that first year, I think.
The first year from like 1941 to 1942.
That 41. Because we didn't, the war had been going on in Europe since 1939, but we really did not get involved until
41, late 41.
Right.
And I've seen many documentaries saying that when is like the British were like, if America doesn't get in this bloody war, we're gonna lose. So it's kind of.
Well, particularly the Brits really wanted the United States to get into the war. They really, really wanted them, and actually a lot of American men went to Canada and joined the Canadian,
Army?
or even went over to Britain and joined the British Air Corps mainly.
Air Corps, British Air Corps?
Yeah.
So Bernie joined the U.S. Army, correct? Bernie.
U.S. Navy.
Navy. So my great uncle Bernie is who we're talking about. That's Bernie. And he was a naval officer late in the war. You said he joined like 1944, 1945?
He joined in 1945, and that was actually
very
the
late
year
in the
the
war.
war ended. But
Yeah.
he did not want to be drafted. He wanted to join the Navy rather than go into the Army.
So did he show a particular interest in joining the armed forces before like he was like, okay, I don't want to get drafted. I'm just gonna go
Well,
ahead
as
and
soon
join.
as the war started, yes. He was sure he would be drafted. I mean, he had had a draft number for, a number of years, but hadn't been called, but he was still in high school. But once he was out of high school, he figured he'd be called in. And rather than go into the army, he wanted to go into the Navy. So
Was there any particular reason why he wanted to join the Navy and not the Army?
I'm sure there was probably a special reason, but I don't know what it was.
Ah, so you heard it here. Anyway, so on the other side for you, did your civilian life alter? Like a lot of people say, it changed majorly. Did it change majorly for you? Like when the war started for America, did you get used to it at all, or were you still like, oh, this is new, I'm nervous, every day kind of jitter,
Well,
just changed
when
my
you're
life
you're
forever?
still in school, when we were in high school, you just continued with school. The part that affected us mainly was the shortage. There were shortages of a number of things, clothing and food and stuff like that, and cars and gasoline. We used to like to drive, for picnics in the car, but we only had an A card in for gas, which would give you the least amount of gas.
Did your father ever try and get like a B card or a higher card to get you
No,
more
he knew he
gasoline?
wouldn't be eligible for it.
What? So with the rationing, you said A card. Were there different criterias? Did you have to be a
Well,
certain
that was
age
the
or
gasoline
service in
card.
the army? Or?
The rest of it, we had our ration books. We had a little booklet, and it had um, like stamps in it. And you went to buy a pair of shoes, and it took so many of those, and you had to have
The stamps, or else they wouldn't let
or
you.
you couldn't get the shoes.
So if
We missed sugar. Sugar was hard to get. My mother used to do a lot of baking.
yeah,
Yeah.
you said that there was a funny story that a neighbor gave you like butter and
Well,
sugar, and
yeah.
so your
He
mom
was,
could bake a cake.
he was one. He ran a small grocery store, and it was between where we lived and where I went to school. And when I'd come walking back from school, my mother would usually ask me to stop in and see if Mr. Hennigan, if she had called him for an order, and then I could bring it up home. But I remember one day
Was
he gave me what my mother had asked, and then he came up close and he said, "I put a quarter pound of butter in there."
Wow, did he save
Big
up his own
deal.
butter ration? Did he save up his own butter ration?
Butter was rationed. Not only did you have to have a ticket for it, or a stamp, whatever they called them, a coupon, ration coupon. Um, it was hard to get. They didn't always have butter. If you wanted a pound of butter or anything less or whatever, they'd
You'd
say,
have
"I'm
to.
sorry, we have no butter today. No butter today."
What was the big deal about the butter?
Everything was concentrated on
The soldiers.
having the war effort, and when the food came, it was for the servicemen and women, and same thing with like cloth and clothing, all was being saved and used mainly for, here again, the service people.
So, you were a nurse. Did you join because of the Second World War? Did you start doing the nursing to help the war effort?
Well, I just started into college the year World War II ended.
It's St. Rose College, right?
The College of St. Rose
Yeah.
in Albany. Hmm.
So, did you partly join the nursing to help the war effort, or was
Well,
that an
by then the
element,
war
or-
was over, see? And no, it was something I had always wanted to do. I figured when I graduated from high school, I'd go and become a nurse.
Well,
So I did. But after I finished my nurse's training, there were a lot of veteran hospitals, and some of my classmates, we all talked about if any of us wanted to join to go and work in the veterans hospitals. You'd have to join the Army or Navy to go into that, but there was different feelings about that. And I thought about it, but I decided I didn't want to. I wanted to mainly keep in pediatrics.
leave that to Bernie, right? Leave the army to Bernie, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I knew there were enough others without me.
maybe to Bernie.
So that's why you ended up having 7 children?
Right, I knew just how to take care of them.
That's my dad. He's the youngest of 7. That's why he said 7 kids.
Finally got it right on the 7th.
Yeah, he's the finished product. They had to work out the bugs with the first one. The prototype is
Right,
me
the
and my
prototype,
dad.
that's
Yeah.
Uncle Frank, yeah?
Shout out to my Uncle Frank, by the way, if he's watching this.
And they still joke about that.
Yeah, we still do. So, Bernie joined the Korean War. He was called to the Korean War.
Right, because he was, after World War II, he stayed in the Naval Reserve. And so when another war came along, or I guess they were still calling that a police action, I don't know. But anyway, when it came along, they called him because he was in the reserve.
War. Yeah.
But meantime, he was in college, and he had married.
And so he just got called at
He
probably
did get
the worst
called,
called.
but he only had to serve a year.
Yeah. So he never went overseas, you told me. He never
No.
went overseas. He never
No.
got into the big fights,
No,
anything.
no.
Which is good because Uncle Bernie wouldn't have probably lived as long as he did.
Well, I don't know. He might have gotten many of the service people made it through the war.
Yeah. But this part of the interview is running a little long, so I'm gonna have to end it. So we'll probably continue the interview, but for now the first part is over. Say bye to the internet, Grandma.
Bye to the internet. Tune in tomorrow.
Tune in tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow. I'll film the next part today, and you'll get the upload tomorrow. So that's how it's gonna work. Yeah, you're gonna have to starve for the next part. Anyway, before this video gets rejected for being too long, bye.